Tonight, less than 24 hours to showdown in Parliament over Chief Justice nominee. A Supreme Court finally publishes full judgment on the James Jachikwuesin case. So will the NDC minority back down from their earlier position to block Justice Tokonu's approval?
I have given hundreds of judgments from High Court till now. And I think that it would have been a really great relief to know that I am assessed on my work as a whole.
This is Top Story with Mensah.
Well, it's now less than 24 hours to this showdown in Parliament tomorrow morning over Justice Gertrude Tokonu's nomination. She had been vetted by Parliament's Appointments Committee, but the minority had served notice they will be forced to block her approval unless they get the fully published judgment on James Jachikwuesin. Well, today the Supreme Court finally published that full judgment and the NDC position. We understand the party is currently meeting. In fact, the minority side have been reviewing the full details in this particular document and are set to announce their position tomorrow at the press conference. But that has thrown up a few questions I'll be interrogating tonight. But the Supreme Court, in its reasoned judgment on this James Jachikwuesin case that we have been reading over the last few hours, says citizenship means allegiance. One of the controversial points that the NDC had been pointing out, that the court says by not having received a certificate showing renunciation of his Canadian citizenship at the time of filing his nomination form, it means he was not qualified at the time he stood for the elections and at the time he was declared elected Member of Parliament for the Assin North constituency. The minority in Parliament has already served notice. The vetting of Chief Justice nominee Justice Gertrude Tokonu will not be completed unless they have access to this judgment. That judgment is out now, and we'll be getting the first word from the NDC's legal team. They've been reviewing this document, and we believe now from our sources that a position is about to be firmed up. But first of all, since this judgment just became public, I want to bring in our legal affairs correspondent, Joseph Akable, who has been studying it and joins us with details of this. And Joseph, it makes for some fascinating reading. A few controversial points we knew that the Supreme Court justices will have to consider. The first one that came up was whether the Supreme Court itself had the jurisdiction to look at this matter, because the plaintiff, as the defendant in the matter, had argued that as far as this case is concerned, it really boiled out to something around an election petition, which is the preserve of the High Court. How did the Supreme Court decide on that matter?
And so that is dealt with at page 19 of the judgment, and the court says that we are afraid that the first defendant, that is James Jachikwuesin, misses the very obvious difference between the suit heard by the High Court in Cape Coast and the present action. What this court has been called to do is to interpret and enforce Article 94(2)(a) with regard to the qualification of James Jachikwuesin to become and remain a member of Parliament. You know, the NDC had made reference to a litany of cases that the court had decided. The court says that in all the decided cases of this court referred to by the counsel for the first defendant, which dealt with procedure provided in the rules for performing an act, or the court with proper jurisdiction for hearing and dealing with parliamentary election disputes, this court did not find any, quote, act or omission, end quote, on the part of any person which warranted the invocation of it original interpretative jurisdiction. And so it makes reference to cases such as Yeboah versus J.H. Mensah, which that statement that was issued by James Jachikwesin, he made reference to. There's also the case of Republic versus High Court, Koforidua, ex parte, Baba Jamal, and others, among other cases. The court says, on the other hand, it has also been the settled position of this court that it is not precluded from engaging in its exclusive jurisdiction to interpret and enforce the provisions of the Constitution where that jurisdiction arises under Article 2.1 and Article 131, even if there is within the same course of action a concurrent jurisdiction of the High Court to settle the validity of an election under Article 99 of the Constitution. And the court makes reference to the case of NPP versus NDC and also the ex parte Zaneto case.
So that's one of the key issues that the Supreme Court had to deal with. And then there's a substantively controversial matter of the distinction between citizenship and allegiance. I know that James Achukwese at the court had created this distinction. Yes, he was a citizen of Ghana. He filed to renounce his citizenship of Canada. And the question was, did he owe allegiance at the time to Canada or to Ghana? How did the Supreme Court settle this matter?
In fact, the court made reference to a case in which it had decided in 2012, the case of Professor Stephen Kwekwasari versus Attorney General, and the court reproduces portions of the judgment where Justice Atuguba stated, and I quote, "I would therefore hold that the impugned provisions are intended to protect the interests of Ghana as far as crucial loyalty to Ghana is concerned." The Supreme Court says, "We have taken note that trouble to set out these words to show that as far back as 2012, this court was very clear that citizenship was bound up with loyalty to the state and allegiance to it. There is therefore no ambiguity when Article 94(2)(a) refers to owing allegiance to a country other than Ghana. In Asari versus the Attorney General, the court assumed the words to mean being a citizen of a country other than Ghana. Citizenship and allegiance are bound up in the same spirit. The evidence that citizenship and allegiance are bound together is seen in the language used by the legislature in the Citizenship Act 2000, that is Act 591. Section 8 states clearly that a person shall not be registered as a citizen unless that person has taken the oath of allegiance. In the case of naturalization, Section 13 provides as follows, and the court puts emphasis that a person to whom a certificate of naturalization is granted under subsection 1 shall take the oath of allegiance and become a citizen by naturalization from the date on which the oath of allegiance is taken. And so the court makes reference to Great Britain and says that its position is not any different from that of Ghana. And so its conclusion, and it says here in terms of the conclusion, is that they clarify the direction that on allegiance within Article 94(2)(a) of the 1992 Constitution, and the court says that they are bound together and so they cannot be differentiated as different concepts.
And that is really critical as far as this judgment is concerned. And then there was a other controversy around when James Atukwe received his certificate of renunciation and when that certificate kicks in terms of whether or not you can qualify and be, decide to stand as an MP. James Atukwe has always maintained that he received that certificate before the polls. But the Supreme Court says it's not the polls that matter, something else.
Yes, in fact, the court did indicate first and foremost that on the issue of the effect of the renunciation certificate, says citizenship is determined by law and the regulatory mechanisms of states. It is not a valid legal submission that a unilateral statement of renunciation of citizenship of another country should be recognized as severance of allegiance from that country. The court goes on to say that if that were possible, it means that persons who have complied with stringent conditions and borne considerable costs to become citizens of Ghana or another country could simply throw affidavits or declarations at the state and deem themselves divested of citizenship if they find a reason to quickly remove the burden of that citizenship from themselves of changed needs. There would be no need for the certificate of renunciation issued by the Canadian authorities to take effect from 26th November 2020. In the same way that obtaining of alternate citizenship is done through the due process and by legal means, we are satisfied that without a legal record granted by the state that conferred the alternate citizenship, persons who present themselves as having renounced their alternate citizenship cannot be accepted as having done so unless they show an official record stating so from their alternate state. To accept such a proposition will make a mockery of the weight that Ghana and states place on the grants of citizenship. And so the court proceeded to come to the conclusion that the time for the checking of this particular 94(2)(a) requirement, the court made reference to its case in the ex parte Zaneto case to make the point that in that particular matter, it decided that the time to check for when a person is a registered voter is at the time that the person files the nomination. And so the court says for the 94(2)(a), i.e. whether or not the person owes allegiance to a country other than Ghana, should be checked at the time when the person files for the nomination. And so even though he had received his renunciation certificate after he had filed his nomination form, it meant that he was not eligible by virtue of the fact that when he filed his nomination, he owed allegiance to a country other than Ghana. And so by that virtue, it meant that he was not qualified at the time he filed his nomination, he was not qualified at the time he was elected, and he was not qualified at the time he was declared elected as well.
Bottom line, at the time you file, you must be in possession of that valid certificate of renunciation.
Yes, Evans.
And he wasn't in possession of that valid certificate. He had just indicated an intention, renounce, but in absence of that, you are disqualified to contest. There's a bottom line there that the Supreme Court had indicated. Joseph, thank you very much. And that's just a brief of the detailed judgment on this very interesting James Achikwesing case, which the NDC, I know, has been studying. Their legal team has been studying. We'll get their position on this pretty shortly when we are joined by Abraham Amaleba. But remember, the Parliament resumes tomorrow, and the minority leadership, they've told us that they've called a press conference tomorrow morning, by which time they will have a concrete position on this matter. Remember that when Justice Gertrude Tokunu appeared before the Appointments Committee, the minority side were clear that because the Supreme Court had not released the full judgment yet, they will block her nomination unless they get the judgment. And the judgment has been released today before the House considers whether to approve or not on the back of the recommendation from the Appointments Committee. And so we're going into tomorrow with a bit of uncertainty. Let's see if we can clarify that a bit more. I want to bring in now the chairman of the Appointments Committee. He is Joseph Osawusu, and he joins us on the line right now. Mr. Osawusu, thank you very much for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you too for having me.
So, can you please confirm if indeed you intend to put your report before the House for a decision tomorrow?
Well, as to when the report will be put before the House, it's based on the program, and there's a business committee which we schedule. But what I can assure you is that my report is ready.
And this report, was it a report that was communicating a consensus position or a majority position?
As at the time we're writing the report, it was a majority decision. But this afternoon, the chief whip has called me to say that the majority did not declare their intention whether they were voting no or supporting her. But after they have received a copy of the reasons given by the Supreme Court in respect of the Quay case, they have Quayson case, they have decided to support a nomination. So the report should be presented as a consensus report. This is the discussion I had with the chief whip around 4 p.m. today.
And indeed, we recall in their statement, their main objection was around the absence of the reasoned judgment, which is now available.
Yes.
So yes, sir.
They have now stated their position, because at the time we met to consider the decision, they said they were not going to vote yes or no until they have a copy of the report. But we couldn't let the conclusion abide that decision, so we recorded that as having voted no. But now they have received a copy of the report, and they have called me to say they are voting yes, which means that we can present the report as she's recommended to the House by consensus.
So this report will be amended, and what will come for consideration will be a consensus position.
That's right.
Okay. This significantly paves the way for Justice Gertrude Tokonu's approval then?
It changes how her approval will be done. If it was not by consensus, then our rule says that approval will be by a secret ballot. But if it is by consensus, then approval is by a voice vote. And so it changes how the approval will be done.
So this is a matter of procedure now. Once this comes before the House, we expect a voice vote, I believe.
Exactly.
And I know in the interim, since the vetting and now, there's been a lot of uncertainty. This obviously tonight clarifies this and takes out the uncertainty surrounding Justice Gertrude Tokonu's work. And you expect then there's no clarity on the timelines for this, because I know there is a vacuum now because we have an acting CJ. You're resuming tomorrow. Can you fairly assume when you expect this to be firmed up for the president to swear her in?
Well, first thing is that the House must approve her nomination. And even on that, I can't give a firm date because whatever I say will be speculation. The business committee, I'm told, will meet tomorrow morning. So if the business committee schedule that the report be filed and taken tomorrow, it will be. If they schedule another day, it will be on that day that it will be taken. Whatever I say will be speculative. I'm not a member of the business committee, so I can't even begin to dream how they'll program for the day.
And I know you also double as the first, Deputy Speaker of Parliament. You're resuming tomorrow. Do you expect a busy meeting of Parliament now?
Frankly, everything I say will be speculative. The business committee is composed of the leadership of the House, both sides. Sometimes they decide that on the first day we do light business. Sometimes they decide that once we are there, let's do full business. But I hope that there will not be a big agenda for tomorrow, other than probably the confirmation of the report or adoption of the report of the Appointments Committee in respect of the Chief Justice.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joseph Owusu.
My pleasure.
And that is the chairman of the Appointments Committee of Parliament. He's also the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament. They're confirming to us tonight that in the last couple of hours or today, the minority side have called him to amend the report, the Appointments Committee report, from one that was originally a majority position, a majority recommendation for approval, to one that is consensus based on their receipt of the reasoned judgment. I want to bring in the Director of Legal Affairs for the NDC, Abraham Maliba, joins us now. Mr. Maliba, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you for having me.
I believe you heard the chairman of the Appointments Committee, and I know your team, you've been reviewing this reasoned judgment, which was published today. I believe you've had a copy, you've looked at it. What's the decision now?
Well, I can inform you that as at last Friday, we had filed for extension of time to enable us to have the full complement of the 30 days within which we can ask for a review of the decision of the Supreme Court. So that application was filed last Friday. Now, when you come back to the ruling itself, as published today, it is mind-boggling that the court failed to address Section 21D of Penal Law 284, which is to the effect that the court would only annul the elections of a person if he or she was not qualified at the time of election, not nomination. So the question is, why did the Supreme Court fail to address Section 21D?
The Supreme Court was using the supreme law of the land, the Constitution.
And the Constitution does not tell you when the time is fixed. There's nowhere in the Constitution that says the time is fixed at nomination.
But the Supreme Court, the Constitution is clear that you cannot be qualified to run as a member of Parliament if you owe allegiance to any other country. And
Yes.
they've interpreted that to mean citizenship is the same as allegiance.
Now you are jumping to things. You are talking about how did they determine, how did the Supreme Court, I'm talking about how the Supreme Court came to the determination that the time for qualification is at nomination. What they did was to take Zenato's case. And Zenato's case was made or given at a time when the Supreme Court did not avert its mind to Section 21D of the PND Law 284. So when the defendant, the first defendant, the Atique's lawyers, raised the issue of Section 21D, PND Law 284, I expected the Supreme Court to analyze it and then deal with it and then say that, notwithstanding that, we think that the time for nomination, the time for elections qualification is nomination.
But they were clear today, and again they were referencing the constitution of this republic, that you qualify as at the time of filing. That is when the question about your eligibility becomes relevant.
And I'm saying to you that there's a law that says that determination should be done at the time of election. Section 20 of PND Law 284 said that. And I'm asking the question, why did the Supreme Court fail to analyze that? In ex parte national literacy, this is what Justice Atibu said. Courts are servants of the legislature and must give effect to the express provisions of the statute unless there's a strong policy reason why that should not be done. So my question is, why did the Supreme Court fail to do that analysis or give effect to Section 21D of PND law?
Because they were convinced by the Zanato case, which was used by the plaintiffs in this matter, and the court also decided on that.
And I'm saying to you that in the Zanato case, there was no averment, or the Supreme Court's attention was not directed at Section 20 of the PND law. Now that there is this opportunity where the Section 20D, 1D has been referenced, it is only proper, said Justice Atugba, that the courts should give effect to statutes unless there's a strong policy reason not to do so. So my question still remains, why is it that in this one, when your attention was drawn to Section 21D, you didn't analyze and dealt with it for us to know the stand of that law?
But this case turned on whether or not he owed allegiance to two countries or exclusively to Ghana. And in that matter, the Supreme Court is emphatic that he owed allegiance to two countries at the time of filing.
Nobody is saying the Supreme Court was not emphatic in this ruling. We are saying that, having been emphatic, what do you make of 21D?
Yeah, but that's not what this case turned on, is it?
Say it again.
This case really turned on the subject of allegiance and citizenship.
And what time do you need to shed off those allegiance? That's the case in court. Nobody says that. We have never said that the question was not a dual citizen. But it is about the timing. Was he supposed to denounce before nomination period, or is he supposed to denounce at the time of elections as per the PND Law 284? That's the issue in court, from the lower court to the Supreme Court.
I take it then that you've read it now. You still disagree with the court's reasoning,
particularly when that portion or that issue of the PND Law 284, Section 20, has not been dealt by the court.
So what's the decision on that now?
So I've just indicated to you that we filed for extension of time to enable us have the full complement of the 30 days. You know, the rules are that after judgment, decision of the Supreme Court, you have 30 days to file your review if you so intend. But because this ruling has eaten into the 30 days, we filed on Friday for an extension of time to have us have a full complement of the 30 days to enable us, if we so wish, to file a review.
So you haven't taken the decision yet whether or not to review?
No, this too early. This came around 2 o'clock. We are yet to deal with that matter. But I'm just raising one of the issues that could be an issue before the review panel.
And a quick response then to what we heard from the chairman of the Appointments Committee, who says he's received the call from the minority leadership now that they are okay with the Justice Tokonu's nomination being approved now that they've received the full judgment. Did you advise the minority on this as well, and what do you make of that? They seem happy, at least now that the publication of the full judgment is available.
No, I'm director for the party. I'm not director for the minority group.
So you had no role at all in the minority's own evaluation of the.
I don't advise the minority group.
When then, in the next 30 days, should we expect a decision from the NDC on whether to review or not?
When next within the 30 days?
When next within the next?
No,
30 days?
The application must be heard first. This application for extension of time must be heard.
I'm grateful. That's Abraham Maliba. He's the Director of Legal Affairs for the NDC. Share your thoughts with me, 055 1111997. And Parliament resumes tomorrow. We'll get our parliamentary correspondent to give us a sense of what to expect once the MPs return.
Ever visited a shop, picked a whole basket of provisions, toiletries, and very essential things you need, battled a long queue to finally pay, only to be told you can't pay to a merchant number the way that thing they pay, but with Vodafone Cash, there is no problem. Now on Vodafone Cash, you can pay all merchants on all networks. Easy peasy. Aye straight. Aye direct. Aye sharp. From your Vodafone Cash wallet to any merchant number on other networks. So whether you are buying provisions or fuel, medication or food, whatever the service or need, just pay conveniently from Vodafone Cash to any merchant number. Simply dial *110# to make payment to merchants on other networks today.
Vodafone.
I've got Bell Pack and I won't let go.
My name is Nanama McBrown. Many people think I get what I want anytime because I am popular. No, that is not true. It is because me and Kasano, I like the best, and when I find it, I stick to it. I have found Bell Pack Tea Roll, and I'm stuck with it. It is soft but not weak, strong but not hard. It is just perfect. Bell Pack Tea Roll is smooth and gentle on the skin. Same as Bell Pack Kitchen Towel. It cleans in one wipe. You can soak, squeeze, and clean again. One Bell Pack Kitchen Towel lasts longer and saves you money. It's time you switch to Bell Pack today and experience the perfect paper tissue. Say pocket tissue, table napkins, tea roll, and a kitchen towel. Bell Pack is simply the best. Bell Pack, just perfect.
To be a Bell Pack distributor, call 055 1144400. Another quality product from Bell Aqua.
Nothing feels so good like Bell Pack.
Wouldn't you prefer an apartment hotel? One that offers the utmost convenience of a boutique hotel while offering the idyllic comfort of your own private home. Oasis Park Residences offers luxury studios, 1, 2 and 3 bedrooms both for short and long-term rental at competitive rates. Our sky swimming pool, gourmet outdoor restaurant and a fully equipped gym rest on a breathtaking rooftop with panoramic views of the city. Oasis Park Residences, located at Shiashi Tetekwashi, 10 minutes from the international airport, is the ideal place for all your accommodation needs. Why don't you give us a call on 020-4343-009 or visit our website at oasisparkresidences.com to make your reservations. Oasis Park Residences, more than a home.
So cool, so clean. My newfound love and buddy. Aquadot Natural Mineral Water, made under strictly hygienic conditions with modern technology to ensure your quality. With Aquadot Natural Mineral Water, your safety is at heart. For bulk purchase, call 0257205656 or 0559765777. You can also visit us at Hacho Ecomop Accra or Dotlanoi Limited, Hatcher Rabbit, Aquadot Natural Mineral Water. This advert is FDA approved.
On Newsnight tonight, chairperson and ranking member on Government Assurances Committee clash over whether Education Minister lied to Parliament when he said textbooks had been distributed to schools.
Should be some clarification.
There can't be any clarification because the minister was emphatic, madam.
No. Honorable, please, you can't just prejudge.
We have details as the committee wraps up its tour of the Central and Greater Accra regions to verify the minister's claims. Also tonight, unemployment should not be a license to invade mining concessions. Lands Minister warns Obuasi youth as he gives strongest indication of government's intention to protect mining companies.
We are very determined to protect this mine, protect Anglo Gold Ashanti's concession, and I should say and say so forcefully.
We have details of his working visit to Anglo Gold Ashanti Obuasi mines after the illegal entry of the shaft by illegal miners there. Also tonight, former Power Minister goes after World Bank Country Director as he describes Pierre Laporte's strong criticism of Ghana's take-or-pay agreements as unfortunate and an attempt to please the current government.
I wish the country director had gone a bit back or gotten his researchers to look at the holistic picture.
There's more as government directs the ECG to renegotiate power purchase agreements under new guidelines that discourages the take-or-pay regime.
Can we renegotiate under the new guidelines that have been issued by the Ministry of Energy to the effect that going forward, any new power plants that is coming into Ghana would not be on a take-or-pay basis?
And in business, World Bank insists on structures to ensure prudent use of more than $2 billion set to be disbursed to Ghana.
In sports, Hamburg's Ransford Yeboah-Koningsdorfer replaces injured Iñaki Williams ahead of Ghana's AFCON qualifier against Madagascar later this month.
And what is the pothole situation in your neighborhood? In the second episode of Ghana's Potholes exhibition, we'll hear why the government may not cover craters in the middle of the road.
The bomb prices will tell us, I
pray for heavy rains so that the road would develop more potholes. I'll then come and fix them.
We'll hear from citizens taking the matter into their own hands and making some money while at it. Now, the chairperson of the Government Assurances Committee of Parliament, Patricia P.J., and his ranking member, Oti Bless, are fighting over whether or not Education Minister Dr. Yao Seiduchum lied to Parliament when he said textbooks for the new curriculum have been distributed to all basic schools. Speaking to journalists after touring the Central and Greater Accra regions, ranking member of this committee, John Oti Bless, said the minister had lied to Parliament because their findings showed most schools had not received the textbooks, and even those who had received did not have the full complement.
The minister was emphatic. He indicated clearly to the committee that they were done, they've distributed books to all the schools, and now you went with us, you saw things for yourselves. Because when we went to the schools, the story was different. Because most of the, so let's talk about the central, the district, the regional capital. So how about the rural areas? So it tells you that the minister didn't tell us the truth. That is the fact, because most of the schools are yet to receive the books. And when we went to the depot, the man in charge even was clear that they are yet to receive all the full complement of the books for the schools. So it was clear. So it means that the minister's promise has not been fulfilled.
What do you intend to do?
We'll prepare our reports and lay it on the floor. Yes, and we'll talk about it there. We believe we'll all be there to see it. I am not at all happy. I am not happy. I'm not happy because the minister didn't tell us the truth.
Well, the chairperson of the committee, Patricia P.J., disagrees.
You can't just prejudge. You have come out to find something. That's a challenge. So we cannot, whether the minister, because we have recorded this thing verbatim. Go back and then be sure of exactly what it is. Because other people also have other memories. So we will do some introspection before we can condemn the situation.
Exactly, we are not condemning, we are stating the issues as they are. Because the minister was emphatic. We have our clerks here. We are all there. Some of you, the media houses were there. The minister said they were done with the distribution. And we go onto the ground and the issues there are different. So why shouldn't we talk about it?
So you have there two leaders of this committee disagreeing over what exactly the minister said and what they found. Let's bring in our parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante, who's been touring with them. And Kweku, so really help us understand why this controversy. Didn't the two leaders go on the same tour together and all sat in parliament to listen to the minister give the assurance?
Indeed, that is so. They were all on this tour. They were all in that hearing when the minister made those claims to the committee. What they disagree is clearly where John Otibles is coming in to say that the minister lied. But according to Patricia PJ, that should not be the conclusion just yet, and that the committee should wait, return to Accra, and talk to the minister again. There may perhaps be a few issues that have happened, for which reason what the minister told the committee is not happening on the ground. It's also instructive to know that, Evans, these schools that the committee has been visiting are actually schools that were selected for them by the education ministry themselves. And some of the committee members have had cause to complain that you cannot be going on such a fact-finding mission and going with a list that the minister presented to you. It is on this basis that Otibles is saying that if the minister's list that he presented to us, which we have gone to, clearly shows that the books have not been distributed, and that even those schools who have received these books do not have enough, then it clearly tells the case that the nationwide picture is much gloomy than the minister presented to the House. But the chairperson disagrees. He says they should return to Accra, work on their report, present same to Parliament, and then talk to the education minister. Perhaps there may be a few things that may have caused some blockage of these textbooks reaching these basic schools across the country.
Do you have an indication really what the committee intends to do with the findings when it comes to the floor?
So the committee is, as we've seen so far, split on partisan sides. It's going to be very difficult for them to have an agreement in terms of what exactly to put in the report and the conclusion as well before they put that on the floor of Parliament. But knowing how Parliament works and the Government Assurance Committee itself, some of these reports may well delay into months. Sometimes it may even take up to the end of the meeting that a report may come to the floor. And some of the minority members say that these textbooks are much needed at the basic school level. They expect some urgent decisions to be taken. And that is why they do not want a committee report to be put together first before the minister must be summoned. Some of them are already weighing in options of filing urgent questions when House resumes tomorrow. And also, liaising with their colleagues on the Education Committee, which are supervisory responsibility over the education ministry, to look at some of these issues even before the report is ready. But what must even go into this report, clearly from the chairperson and the ranking member, there's some sort of a disagreement there.
Okay, but you also today went to Tema East. What's the facts on the ground there?
So for all the schools we've gone to in the central region, in the greater Accra region, none of the schools we've gone so far have full complement of the textbooks. Indeed, for all of the schools we went to, the schools actually have some of the books, but they are not all of it. Indeed, some schools in the central region, the JHS do not have a single copy, whilst in the primary schools, they have some copies. For a class, for say BS5 in Pomaze Basic School, there are about 70 students in a certain class, but there are just 40 textbooks that have been distributed. And according to the District Director of Education, the explanation was that they are only called upon to get the textbooks when they are ready, and they do not almost always get all the textbooks for all the students. So for all the schools we've gone to so far, the picture is the same. They all have some textbooks, but not all textbooks. In schools where they are basic schools, where they have primary and JHS, you'll see that the primary schools have a number of the textbooks, of course not up to the number of students who have been enrolled in the school, but the JHS mostly do not have. Also technically because the JHS 3 students are still on the old curriculum, and they are about to phase out after they finish their BEC. But the Form 2s and Form 1s are expected to have these new textbooks for this new curriculum. And for Pomaze Senior High School in the central region, and some schools in the central region, also in Tema, they do not have these textbooks at all.
It's expensive.
And so the gaps we are seeing in Tema now, in terms of textbooks, in terms of classroom availability, in terms of furniture, is so obvious. I know you don't have much time. And so to sum it all, government must move speedily to empower the assemblies and also empower the metro education officers to ensure that these gaps are bridged in the short term. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's bring in Dr. Clement Apak. He is on the Education Committee in Parliament and joins us on the line right now. Dr. Apak, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. Were you part of this delegation touring the country? Hello, Dr. Apak.
Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Very well. Well, I am a member of the Education. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Can you?
Hello, Dr. Park, I can hear you.
Very well. So the point I'm making is that I am a member of the Education Committee. And it is not my committee that is out and about trying to verify the authenticity of the minister's statement to the Government Assurance Committee. But be as it may, I can tell you on authority that no school, public basic school, in the Republic of Ghana has the full complement of textbooks produced on the back of the new standard-based curriculum that was unveiled in 2019.
I mean, Dr. Park, on that point, last week when we reported the visit by the Assurances Committee to Cape Coast, there was one school, and we played that sound where the head teacher announced that they have the full complement. Yes, they found many other schools without a full complement. At least there was one school that had it.
I doubt.
Well, the head teacher in interaction with the committee indeed confessed that they do have, that one school did have that.
I have my doubts. And I say so because the ranking member of the committee just told me that the list that was given was generated by the ministry. And I think that in itself defeats the exercise. And I'm also quite curious that rather than spreading it out and perhaps even letting the committee go to the less endowed parts of this country, in this case, the 5 regions in the northern part of this country, they have chosen places where we all know are better endowed. But even so, the report confirms what we know, which is that after many years of agitation, government eventually awarded contracts to printing houses and publishers to print and distribute the books. But because government has decided to cap GetFund, which is the agency government is relying on to finance the printing and distribution of these books, GetFund has been unable to raise the needed resources to pay the printers and the publishers for the books produced so far. Consequently, the printers have refused to produce any more books until they are paid for those that they have produced. That is why we are where we are, Ivan.
I mean, at the Education Committee level, you've known about this. Parliament resumes tomorrow. What do you plan to do about it?
Well, if you must know, we have never failed to file questions to the minister on this matter. Right before Parliament rose, I know my ranking member, the Honorable Peter Nochukwu, filed a question on it. I have filed a question almost every year on this issue of textbooks. We will continue to do our best. But I think we must now call on teachers and parents to rise up and call government out for failing to fulfill its obligation to the good people of this country. It is not right, it is not acceptable that 4 years down the line, after the introduction of a new curriculum, teachers and heads of basic institutions are still crying about a lack of adequate textbooks. This is not excusable.
Your inquiry shows, and correct me there if I'm mistaken, that this boils down to lack of funds to pay the publishers.
Yes.
I mean,
but that is because the government itself has chosen to implement a policy that we are even fighting against in Parliament. We have always argued that it was wrong for government to cap statutory or earmark funds, including get fund. So it is government's own poor decision to bring about the cutting of get fund, which is denying get fund the needed resources to execute a responsibility that government itself has entrusted upon get fund. So there is a way. Government should simply decap get fund and allow for the full get fund levy to go to get fund, and get fund will be able to meet all its obligations, including paying the printers and publishing houses.
But this is just a reflection of the hard economic times you're in.
No, I don't buy that. Yes, we are in hard economic times. But has government agreed with the call to cut down the size of government? Why are we still paying deputy ambassador, deputy CEO? We are paying the CEO and the staff for a cater post that we have never seen any action as far as that side is concerned. So if you want my honest opinion, much more like the delayed disbursement of capitation grants to 6 terms, the matters to do the school feeding program, the furniture deficit. This is as a result of poor government policy decisions and poor implementation of policies that government itself acknowledges are key.
Dr. Clement Park, thank you very much for your time. And he is a member on the Education Committee in Parliament. What do you make of this particular subject and the controversy? 055-1111-997. Share your thoughts with me, and I'll share it with the rest of the world. A few of you have joined us with your thoughts on this already, and I want to share with you. Philip from Cater says, in fact, the government is not serious with the good people of Ghana. How much is one Ghana cedi 50 pesos for the school feeding program? Even our various homes, we spent more than that, he says. The quality of the food is what they should be giving, and that's on the subject of the school feeding program. I will bring you details of that. It is a deception for a government to be promising students laptops when textbooks for the new curriculum in the basic schools are lacking for almost 4 years now. Kofi Siedu centers that one with his thoughts there. And if you have any, please share with us, including this one from Mary in Obuasi. Say, I'm a teacher in Obuasi. There has never been a single textbook since implementation of the new curriculum, he says. And that's Mary in Obuasi, who says she is a teacher there. Let's hear from you if you're a parent as well. 055-1111-997, and you are live here on Newsnight. Well, tomorrow Parliament is resuming, and there is major controversy over whether or not the House will get the consensus required to approve the nomination of the new Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Tokonu. The minority side, the NDC side, had served notice that they will block her nomination unless they receive the full reasoned judgment of the Supreme Court on the James Jachikwason case. Remember that particular Supreme Court judgment resulted in his seat being annulled. And as a result of that, there is a by-election on the 27th of June. Well, on Top Story, we heard from the chairman of the Appointments Committee, who had drafted the first report following the vetting of Justice Gertrude Tokonu, and that was a majority recommendation for approval. The NDC side had stayed away because they were opposed in the absence of the reasoned judgment. Well, Joe Sowusu told us on Top Story that today they've received a call from the minority side asking that report now be amended because they have received the judgment now, and they will fully join their majority colleagues to approve Justice Tokonu's nomination.
Well, as to when the report will be put before the House, it's based on the program, and there's a business committee which we schedule. But what I can assure you is that my report is ready.
And this report, was it a report that was communicating a consensus position or a majority position?
As at the time we're writing the report, it was a majority decision. But this afternoon, the chief whip has called me to say that the majority did not declare their intention whether they were voting no or supporting her. But after they have received a copy of the reasons given by the Supreme Court in respect of the Quay case, they have Quayson case, they have decided to support a nomination. So the report should be presented as a consensus report. This is the discussion I had with the chief whips around 4 p.m. today.
And indeed, we recall in their statement, their main objection was around the absence of the reasoned judgment, which is now available.
Yes.
So yes, sir.
They have now stated their position, because at the time we met to consider the decision, they said they were not going to vote yes or no until they have a copy of the report. But we couldn't let the conclusion abide that decision, so we recorded that as having voted no.
Let's get some clarity on this now. The Minority Chief Whip himself joins us now, Mr. Kwame Agboja. Mr. Agboja, thanks for your time here on Newsnight.
Good evening, Evans, and good evening to your cherished listeners.
You had your chairman, the chairman of the Appointments Committee, say you called him and saying that you've decided now to support the nomination. True?
I'm very surprised at the interview granted by the first Deputy Speaker, a very seasoned politician and respected one as such in Parliament. Parliament reopens tomorrow. Usually, there are a series of meetings to decide on what we do from the very first day, including what goes into the business statement, etc. Indeed, an issue that cropped up during the break was the vetting of the Chief Justice nominee. At no point did the NDC state our position in support or against the candidature of Justice Tokono. Indeed, we issued a statement just after the vetting, making it clear. In fact, before the vetting, we met the first Deputy Speaker and his Chief Whip and state our position that we are going into the vetting to do the vetting, but we are going to rely heavily on the outcome of the reasoned judgment over our colleague, Honorable Quayson. He opposed that, and we went through the vetting. And you remember the minority leader restated that position. We were told the reasoned judgment will come on the 7th of June. However, this afternoon, whilst we're preparing for tomorrow, we started hearing information that the majority side was mobilizing all their colleagues to come to Parliament tomorrow to vote on the issue of the Chief Justice, including ministers to cancel their trips and other things. So we confronted them and said, look, have you actually done a report which we are supposed to take? In any case, the business statement will have to be done tomorrow. And so what is the basis of you recalling everybody saying we are coming to vote? Then he told me, as he said, that, because we were unable to support the report, they have gone ahead to do a majority report. And I said, as far as the NDC is concerned, we have not seen a report of the appointment committee on the Chief Justice. And as of the time I left office, close to 5 o'clock, the minority leader was not within the precinct of Parliament. And I'm the vice chairman, the deputy ranking of the committee. I've not seen a committee. So when he says that we said we have taken a decision to support, how, and then ask him to change the report, how could we change a report of which we have not even cited? So indeed, I called him and said, look, we have heard that you said you want to take the report on the Chief Justice. We haven't seen it. The minority leader hasn't seen it. Who is the ranking hasn't seen it. So I'm surprised that his position that we said we have come. Indeed, I told him that our lawyers are consuming the judgment, and by tomorrow morning, our position will consolidate, and the minority leader would address the media and state our position clearly as to what we are going to do. So I'm quite taken aback when somebody drew my attention to the fact that he said I called him and said he should change the report, and then that we have come to a conclusion. Yes, I told him we have received. In fact, the legal department of Parliament served me with the hard copy of the report when I was leaving the office. So I've not even read it. But I am aware that the judgment is out. So I'm surprised a seasoned politician like this would run ahead of himself and say these things, suggesting that we have had a meeting and taken a decision. I think it's unfortunate.
So you did not ask him to amend the report to reflect your support?
How would I have asked him to amend the report I've not seen? I've not seen the report. I just reminded him that we are told that they have done a majority report. Indeed, we never said we were fundamentally opposed to Justice Tokonu's appointment. All we asked for is the reasoned judgment, and upon that, we'll make a decision. So if he says he has written a majority report, that is upon him. That is not a report reflecting the views, including our side. So how would I have asked him to change the report? I'm yet to see.
I mean, it's been more than a week since the vetting. You don't see it as a strange occurrence that all these days after that there isn't a report and you haven't cited one?
Well, normally he's the chairman, and when the report is generated, he would, by convention, give a copy to the ranking and who will make his input, and then communicate it back to him. And after that, members of the committee will be informed as to what the conclusions are. So members don't turn up on the floor surprised at anything. As we speak, in fact, members on my side asked me, what is the understanding? I said, we are all meeting tomorrow to have this concluded. So indeed, the first deputy speaker went ahead of himself. Our legal people are consuming the report. They are going to advise us by tomorrow morning. The NDC will have a caucus meeting and take a decision and communicate that publicly, as we have said in our press release on the day of the vetting. 1 week is past is not a problem, but the point is that if the report is ready, the report should have been, a copy of that report should have been served on the minority leader, who is the ranking member.
But you didn't request. You didn't also request for that report, if indeed it existed, shortly after the vetting.
Well, I mean, why would we have requested for the report when we said that we are waiting for the reasoned judgment to inform our position? So we have no reason to even request a report which would have been inconclusive as of the time the vetting committee, was dispersed. So I have no reason why we should call for that report.
So will you or will you not support her approval?
We are not fundamentally opposed to the nomination or appointment of Justice Tokonu. We have very serious concerns about her position on some things. But even with that, we serve notice that we would consume the content of the judgment, and the minority leader would address the media one way or the other tomorrow. So let's wait for the minority leader to address the media as to our position.
So that position will either be, when this comes on the floor, we are in support of it, or we are not.
No, not on the floor. We will communicate that decision as per our press statement on the day of the vetting. We will communicate that position publicly before we go onto the floor.
Will that
is after meeting our committee members and our side, and at the caucus meeting, that position will be communicated.
But shouldn't that feed into the committee's report before it's submitted? That
yes,
position you were.
That is why I'm saying I'm even surprised, because all he needed to do. Fortunately, the ruling, the reasoning behind the ruling came a day ahead of schedule. What it means is that we are given an opportunity to sit down tomorrow and address all these things. So by the time we go back to the house on Wednesday and beyond, we would have had a position that is known to the public. But as of the reason behind his decision to quickly call you or grant an interview saying, I have called him at 4 o'clock telling him to change the report I've not seen, he's the only one who can answer the motive behind that interview.
And you indicated also that you got intelligence that the majority side, they were mobilizing their members, asking ministers who were outside the jurisdiction to return. Do you get a sense that this is going to come to the floor for a decision tomorrow?
As of whether we will take that report tomorrow or not depends on the business committee.
And that committee has not decided yet?
I am very confident that we have done business in Parliament on many occasions on very reasonable ground. I don't feel that naturally we should be arguing so much when somebody like the Chief Justice is about to take office. And we've never communicated that. However, we robustly stated our opposition to certain parts of her actions and inactions in cases that he ruled on. That is not to say we have anything personal against him. So I am saying that tomorrow, when the minority leader addresses the media, all these things will come out clearly, and then we'll find a way forward. And but I completely condemn what the first deputy speaker did. He knows he hasn't even given us a copy of that report, even if it's a majority report. He must necessarily give a copy to the minority leader for us to be aware that they want to go and take a vote on the Chief Justice. That would have been their own decision for us to vote, because we never said we wanted to vote on her or not. We haven't said anything.
Thank you very much. That's Kwame Abojaizi, Minority Chief Whip there. And Georgia Face here with Business After Business. The question: what is the pothole situation in your neighborhood? In a second episode of Ghana's Potholes exhibition, we'll hear why the government may not cover craters in the middle of the road.
The bomb passes soon to I said, and I'm a mayor.
I pray for heavy rains so that the road would develop more potholes. I'll then come and fix them. We tell the story of how citizens are taking this matter into their own hands and making money while at it. And George, you're faced here. George, you've seen them, trying to patch the roads themselves.
I don't think you call them, even with the potholes, maybe no longer be described as potholes, but manholes.
Yeah.
Because you can fall in and you won't come back again.
Yes. And then you see these folks in the community, they'll go and fetch some sand, and then they are attempting to try and patch up that pothole themselves. And of course, then they make money off that as well. Yeah. We'll tell you that story right after George is done. George, what's in the headline?
Well, events coming up in business. World Bank insists on structures to ensure prudent use of more than $2 billion said to be disbursed to Ghana. Independent power producers vowed to press ahead with cutting power by end of this month if a fraction of that $2 billion is not settled as they push for that. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Allianz Life and Ghana Pay.
Isn't life wonderful when everything worth doing is scheduled? Hitting the stop button on your alarm just in time for your morning jog. That happy moment listening to your baby's heartbeat at the doctor's office. Or an arranged virtual meeting with that big client.
Buy airtime ahead of time with scheduled airtime service on MTN Momo. You can schedule your airtime purchase of any amount, daily, weekly, or monthly by dialing *170# option 3 and follow the process. Or simply dial *170*311# for a superb airtime purchase experience. You enjoy 100% bonus airtime anytime you recharge yourself with MTN Momo. Keep on talking with that 100% feeling. So, what are we doing today?
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Luxurious affordable living is your right, and no one understands it better than BOT Properties. BOT Properties specializes in modern residential buildings and commercial office spaces. Our properties include the Equator, a 12-story made up of over 100 apartments near Accra Mall. Other Equator courts, we offer you the deluxe living experience with our top-of-the-range homes, high-quality homes built with style and precision to suit your lifestyle. The Equator Court is a gated community with 2-story, 4-bedroom detached houses at Ogbojo, East Legon, near American House. Our office complexes include Zion House, Shiashi, East Legon, Zion House, Sofa Line Interchange, Kumasi. Our offices and apartments are for both rental and outright purchases at affordable prices and with flexible payment terms. Kindly contact us on 0257 960 919 or visit botproperties.com. BOT Properties, the new meaning of affordable luxury.
I'm a way! Yeah! Media Sambisanda Moa! It's your Ratiano, Moo, Panet, Mufinamo, Podom Pemo Maniacono. Eh, Quabna! No Moo wants me to be just my Marina there. Eh, and the crow, corporate moving and Bodom Pimus, so you super excellent Eba. I had a bunny de Braille, who see it in a mobile, some man I want it. Sir, I now could you soon use super excellent Chaco, Nenry dear, a mouse, when you're cringing, fit of that. No, what you ask my mother feel you. Hey, Kojo, sir. Yeah. Pepsodent Heba and a Pepsodent Chaco. I've had yeah, Kono natural.
FDIJ Jadion Katuyatu.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, ratings agency Standard & Poor's has downgraded two of Ghana's Eurobond from CC to D. Now, this is more of a warning to investors that government question government's ability to settle these debts on time and has dropped our ability to a junk status. Standard & Poor's, in its latest report on Ghana, noted that this was after government missed out on the payment of the principal and interest payments on the $1 billion on the Eurobonds that are supposed to mature on 2029 and another $1 billion on the Eurobond that should mature on 2049. Now, government sources have however maintained that this action, they have failed to pay these principals and bonds that are maturing because of the decision to suspend payments on these external debt because of the ongoing discussions on the debt restructuring program. The World Bank is insisting that they have structures in place to ensure prudent use of fresh funds set to be disbursed to Ghana. The World Bank is set to advance more than $2 billion to the country over the next 4 years. A fraction of this amount should come in or hit government's account by September this year. However, there are concerns that just like issues with the COVID-19 funds, maybe these funds might not be used well. But the World Bank Country Director Pierre Laporte disagrees.
Before everything is paid, government has to show us proof that all the reforms have been implemented. That's how we put it. But the way this operates is we first agree on the project objectives, the activities with government. Then we have a procurement plan before the project is approved that is agreed with government. Then we do not give project money. Unlike budget support, we do not give project money in the budget. We create a project unit with its own designated account, with its own structures of procurement and safeguard, that these projects are implemented with the line ministries in question, but through the PIU, the project implementation unit. It doesn't go to government. Of course, finance will finally clear the payments once a tender for the road is done. Then it comes to us. They can tell us, we have this bid, there are 5 companies. This is the one that is the lowest. This is the one that is better technical thing. Then our teams, our experts will look at it, and we can say, yes, we agree with your proposal to award to Company X.
World Bank Country Director Pierre Laporte. Now, finance professor, that is Lord Mensah, is downplaying any negative impact on the financial sector should the Financial Stability Fund delay in taking off. It's coming after government indicated that it has put together the framework for the fund for it to be operational from July this year. However, the World Bank is yet to disburse the seed funding for the project, that is about $250 million, and there are fears that the banking sector could be affected badly if these funds do not come on time. But Professor Mensah says the banking sector's regulator is already taking steps to ensure that the sector is protected.
Bank of Ghana has already prepared the grounds. Remember, Bank of Ghana issued a directive that dividends should be hold on for some time now. Indirectly, it's a way of the equity holder more or less rescuing the situation instead of waiting for these external funds. Some of these funds are more or less uncertain as to whether it will come or not. But I'm happy we're done with the framework, and in the end, hopefully, once the board meet on it, it will be money to show up in the country's accounts. But then what we also need to be cautious of is all these monies that are coming as a result of the benefits that we're supposed to get from the IMF. What Ghanaians need to ensure is that the monies are used for their purpose.
Professor Lord Mensah is a finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. Now, independent power producers have indicated that there is no turning back over plans to cut supplies due to the $2 billion debt. It's coming after proposals by government to audit the debt and even begin fresh round of negotiations. But the power producers maintain that a delay in the process would only affect government situation of the country. Elikpima Gbedepo is the chief executive of the independent power producers.
Our conditions or severity of our situation is something that cannot be negotiated. We have done everything possible to manage the situation, but it has gone beyond our control. So really nothing has changed. Our ultimatum to government, that is the June 30th, is still standing. We cannot overstretch ourselves. We cannot stretch ourselves beyond June 30th. Happen time and again, auditing of our invoices. Let me tell you, it's just a strategy to buy time, but all the same, they have every right to do so. But the issue is that the consequences of any further delay cannot be averted if that is a strategy to delay payment to us.
Elikpima Gbedepo is the chief executive of the independent power producers. Now, the Ghana Enterprises Agency, with support from the World Bank, has launched the Enterprise Support Program to provide 150 entrepreneurs, persons with disabilities, about 12 million Ghana cedis grant. According to the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Stephen Amwa, the grant is expected to help these persons upscale their business and create more to contribute to the development of the economy. He's been given more about this program at the launch today.
The objective is to promote inclusive economic growth and gender equality. This time round, the Persons with Disability Enterprise Support Program will focus on promoting the welfare of enterprises owned by persons with disability through business and financial management training and grant funding. A total of 150 enterprises owned by persons with disabilities will be supported with about 12 million Ghana cedis in technical assistance and grants. Supporting persons with disability in Ghana is essential for upholding quality, inclusivity, and fostering economic empowerment.
Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Stephen Amwa. And that's all for business on Newsnight. And back to you, Evans, as we still discuss the manholes that are springing up all over. Very big holes.
Fun fact indeed, George. Did you know that indiscriminate building along water channels contributes to creation of potholes?
I didn't know that even.
Well, apparently it does. And we'll be hearing from Abdullahi Mahama, who is a road and building consultant, pretty shortly. We'll be expanding on that, contributory factor to the potholes that you have on your road. But first, in a series of Ghana's potholes exhibition, where our features editor, Jojo Kabana, has been exploring why the government may not cover craters in the middle of our road, because citizens are taking this matter into their own hands.
A sudden sound of pothole symphony. When your vehicle joins the chorus, then be rest assured that a hole will be created in your bank account. Driving on pothole-riddled streets means you have to constantly drift off your lane. From afar, you start looking like a drunk, needlessly turning the steering wheel. If you're wondering why the government is not fixing your potholes,
I
pray for heavy rains so that the road would develop more potholes. I'll then come and fix them. I pray that government neglects the road. That is the only way I'll get money for my daily upkeep.
With so much passion fueled by hunger, he sometimes dangerously approaches drivers and sometimes weaves in between vehicles, begging for coins to put food on the table for his family. For 3 years, he has been filling these potholes with soil on the Iran Clinic stretch, not only for the driving comfort of drivers and passengers, but to eke out a living. So would you be happier if God listened to your prayer instead? This crater is starting to take up the whole lane. A few meters away are well carved out potholes, more like asphalt or worry. They cover the entire stretch and you cannot save your car from them. So why not stop there for a game of a worry? Which office do you contact when the street is beyond pothole repair?
MP, why do you say road no? Road.
MPs have a responsibility to fix our roads, but when you tell them, they say no. The assemblymen will also say it is not their responsibility. DCEs will also say it is not their responsibility. He or she will say it is the responsibility of the president. They keep shifting responsibilities and end up deceiving us. Why are Ghanaians not thinking? People are frustrated and are dying because they are stressed and overthinking. Many funeral posters announce what a shock. People are stressed. We are suffering in this country.
Yes, Ghana's roads can leave you enraged. So like COVID-19, you have to learn to live with it.
So let's explore a more sustainable solution to the problem. Listen to road and building consultant Abdullahi Mahama.
All the potholes we have, aside the few ones that are badly designed or were not completed on time, that denotes some of these things. The external activities also contribute significantly. Now, let's say a road which is always having water across it. A road was designed. In the first 5 years, there's no water standing on the road when it rains. Now you go and see the just adjoining land, an assembly had approved of somebody or had overlooked somebody to put up a building on a water channel, like what I'm just watching on TV right now. This is a low-lying area. And so any prevention of any channel by any activity outside the road would affect the road, because once water constantly stands on the road, there will definitely be a hole, just maybe one or just the size of the diameter of even a pen. Diameter, when it allows water to actually seep through, the place becomes susceptible and becomes to heave.
Abdullahi Mahama there. Mr. Crantinix here with the sports. Do you have a pothole on your road?
Yeah. I don't know if to call it a pothole or
a crater or a gully or a manhole, or
because I took a 50-meter dash on it and I still didn't reach the end of the pothole.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a serious one.
A very serious one.
Yeah.
Very serious one.
What do you have in the sports headline?
Let's go straight into the sports. And Black Stars head coach Chris Hughton has called up Hamburg SV's Ransford Iyebo Koningsdorfer to replace Iñaki Williams, who will miss the upcoming 2023 AFCON qualifier against Madagascar. The Athletic Club forward was named in the Ghana squad for the game but pulled out with an injury to his right knee. Koningsdorfer will join the squad in Accra when they commence camping on June 12 ahead of the qualifier. He has scored 8 times for Hamburg this season in the German Bundesliga 2, providing an assist in 32 games across the campaign. And sports is brought to you by Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal. Pepsodent, every smile matters.
And of course, we are counting down to the Champions League final this weekend, and it's going to be live, right? It's going to be live here on the Journeys channel.
Yeah, live commentary. Before that, there'll also be the rep your jersey.
Absolutely, I'm repping my jersey. I'm repping Manchester United. You know why?
Why?
Because I'm anticipating that next season we are in the final.
So you're tapping into the blessing.
Yes, I'm tapping into that, and I'm rehearsing for that final that is yet to be played.
I love that.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Now, Land and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abu-Jinapo is vowing tonight that the government will do whatever it takes to protect mining companies following the invasion of the Angogold Ashanti mine site by illegal miners who barricaded themselves in their mine shaft. Mr. Jinapo has been visiting the Angogold Ashanti mine site today. We'll hear from him shortly, but first listen to the Director of External Relations and Sustainability at the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Amen Natoma, who says mining companies feel helpless because governments has failed over the past to protect them.
And in the normal sense, it should have been enough leverage, and we think it is enough leverage. It's just that nobody's taking action. Other will do that, we'll get to that. And
I mean, but that beats me. But why? Because in the local communities, we have an MP, we have a DC, we have the chiefs, all of them there. They see that this is happening. Mines have been taken over by a league, and you're saying nobody's acting.
No, I mean, like I said, it's piecemeal. I mean, it's not comprehensive enough, you know. So once it's not comprehensive enough, the people move from this pocket to this mine. They move from this area to that area. And we have something that has come up called community mining. So now everybody in the community says, look, we also want to do community mining, and you give us the mine. For instance, Anglo-Gold Ashanti, they gave us 70% of their concession to the community, to the state.
Say that again. Anglo-Gold Ashanti gave up 70% of their concession.
Of their concession.
70%.
Yes. So they are now concentrating on just about 30% of their previous concession. And that's what they are working on. And that is the same place that the guys invaded. So even despite the fact that they have given up some of the concession for everybody, some people will still go right and say that where the mining company has planned and has invested, that is where they want. And that's what happened at Benso, and that's what happened at Perseus. The people they want where the mining company is. And if we don't take care, very soon, as they keep invading and keep getting emboldened, they will just take over a mine, and that will be chaotic.
But Lands Minister Sam Abu-Jinapor says they are determined to ensure mining companies work with less interference from illegal miners.
We've had very detailed discussions, and a lot of conclusions have been reached to, first of all, protect the concession of Anglo-Gold Ashanti, and second of all, try to map out strategy which will give us sustainable resolution of this matter. Now, I want to underscore the importance of this asset to the national economy of our country. As we all are very aware, this mine was under care and maintenance in 2016. And the mine was put under care and maintenance as a result, primarily, of some of the activities taking place today, some of the illegal activities taking place today, which is what culminated in the mine being put under care and maintenance. Through the instrumentality of President Akufo-Addo and His Majesty Asantehene and other stakeholders, the mine was brought back to life in 2019, and which is why I say that we are very determined to protect this mine, protect Anglo-Gold Ashanti's concession, and I should say and say so forcefully that it is government policy that Anglo-Gold Ashanti's concession be protected through all legal means, and therefore the mining laws of our country will be enforced and enforced strictly. Persons are not allowed under any circumstances to invade or attack the concession of Anglo-Gold Ashanti. If they do as they have done, they will be made to face the full rigors of the law. They will be arrested, they will be prosecuted, and the law will take its course. I'm scheduled to meet the mining community of Obuasi from here, and I'll deliver this strong message to them coming from government, that is government's position. Yes, we recognize that we need to find alternative means of employment and livelihoods for the youth of Obuasi, and we are working with Anglo-Gold and other stakeholders to do just that, including community mining, responsible regulated community mining, and so on and so forth. But that can never be, the lack of employment can never be a justification for illegally attacking the concession of Anglo-Gold Ashanti, and that I think I should make abundantly unequivocal.
And that's the Lansing Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abu-Jinapor. Now, former Power Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor is tonight taking on the World Bank Country Director Frank Pierre Laporte. The World Bank Country Director, in a recent interview with Joy Business, criticized the power purchasing agreement signed by the John Mahama administration, stating that they were expensive and burdened the country due to the take-or-pay contracts. Well, today we've been hearing from the former Power Minister, who was speaking at the press conference, that he believes the country director got it all wrong.
The country director also talked about take-or-pay agreements, that the Mahama government contracted a number of take-or-pay agreements. It is interesting that since the Mahama government left office at the end of 2016, every single power purchase agreement, or indeed fuel purchase agreement, the Tema LNG project, has had a take-or-pay component. take or pay is a reality in our situation because of confidence. A 330 megawatt combined cycle plant on the average will cost about $500 million in our sub-region. Is the country director of World Bank saying that the IFC, International Finance Corporation, which is an arm of the World Bank, are they saying they will fund a project worth $500 million and not demand a guarantee or an offtake agreement? The World Bank Group country director created the impression that all the power purchase agreements signed under the Jomama regime were higher, expensive, and in his way contributed towards the challenges of the power sector today. I wish the country director had gone a bit back or gotten his researchers to look at the holistic picture.
Meanwhile, Deputy Energy Minister Andy Ejapa Mensah has confirmed to Joy News that the Electricity Company of Ghana has been tasked to renegotiate contracts with independent power producers and the new regime that discourages take or pay.
Further accumulation of debt would mean that have we signed new contracts that then brings about that debt? Or this is the situation that the contracts that we contracted in the past has brought us to. New AXA transaction is not a take or pay. It's a take and pay. Save that there is a commitment to dispatch about 40% of their capacity year on year. And also the tariff was reduced from the 13 cents or so to under 10. Yes, we've had excess capacity over the past 5, 6, 7 years. But is it static? Obviously not. So because your demand is growing, year on year, your excess capacity is reducing. As OECD takes the view that, look, in 2026, 2027, there may be the need for us to add some capacity. And so if AXA had no decommissioning provisions in their transaction and the facility is here, can we renegotiate under the new guidelines that have been issued by the Ministry of Energy to the effect that going forward, any new power plants that is coming into Ghana would not be on a take or pay basis, there will be no government guarantees, no PCOAs, and that we're going to buy energy.
And that, by the way, is the Deputy Energy Minister Andy Ejapa Mensah. And just before we go, a few of your comments on our WhatsApp console. This one from Ejayao, it's Oyibi, I believe. It says for the potholes on the Adenta Dodowa Road, your guess is as good as mine since you use the road as well. Of course I do. You can't describe those as potholes, He continues, please give your radio advantage. Please hold the Vice President to his promise on that road and tell him if he forgets, he will also be forgotten. And that's Eja Yao there. Well, that Adenta Dodowa Road has serious craters on it. And Papa C is sending us a message on the issue of the textbooks. It says big schools are really suffering. And then a final one, send us this one from Parkour in Second D, says that the PNDC laws and the 1992 Constitution running concurrently. The question is asking on the back of the Supreme Court publishing that full judgment today. And that's it for News Night tonight. You want to stay tuned to Joy 99.7 FM because we'll bring you some good music tonight instead of